Portion of today's video is sponsored by Factor. Check my links for great deals. Meet Jax. Ah yes, from the amazing digital circus. Jax is 22. He's human, but looks like a rabbit. Some of his favorite things are himself and spaghetti. Born on August 5th, this makes Jax a Leo. And in true Leo fashion, he enjoys attention, admiration, and validation from others. And in all honesty, Jax is kind of But this doesn't stop Jax from being one of the most loved characters in the show Amazing Digital Circus. And so today we're going to be sculpting Jax and taking that character and turning him into a ceramic sculpture. But, we're not only going to be making Jax as a plushie version of himself in ceramics, but we're also going to be making a second sculpture where I'm going to be monstrifying this character a little bit more with the Wheel of Chaos. For those of you who have heard of the Amazing Digital Circus, let me know who should I do next. And for those of you who haven't heard it, feel free to check it out. It is on Netflix and other streaming sites, not sponsored, not affiliated, but it's definitely not a show for the little ones. Now, as you saw from the title, we're going to be turning this Jax into Opal. Now, in order to turn something opal, we need something called a luster, which is a third bake on top of everything. And for those of you who don't know opal, here's a really pretty rock that has the opal effect, which is very colorful, rainbow iridescent look. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Now, since I am obsessed with ceramics, yes, that is the same material that you make vases and plates with and actual pieces of sculpture that feel like glass. So the process for this sculpture will take me about a month. So if you see my t-shirt change, now you know why. The first step into making the sculpture is actually making the body. However, clay is very soft, so I have to prepare these things the day before. So what I'm basically doing is taking some of my clay, which is the Plainsman M340, and I'm shaping it with some 3D printed molds that my brother put together for me. Thank goodness for my brother and his 3D printers. And we're taking saran wrap, we're putting it so that the clay doesn't stick to the plastic, molding it up, shaping it up, and then removing it. And once we have that, we're basically just going to put it aside and let it sit overnight under a plastic bag.
The next day.
And here we are the next day. It is not floopsy doopsy flimsy. These are pieces that now I can trim and put together and make body parts. So let's see where we gonna get started. The thing that gets me the most nervous when it comes... As I was saying, the thing that gets me the most nervous when it comes to sculpting, it's just starting. We need our glasses. Okay, I got this. I am ready. I often feel the first step is the most difficult step because you don't know where to start. So once you start, that's when you get a little bit more of that confidence. And that's basically what I'm doing at this point is I'm trying to figure out what shape I want this plushy character lookalike to be. And in this case, I do want the body to be a little bottom heavy, so the head is going to be a little smaller. So now we're gonna go ahead and put these together. We do have a gap. I feel like I could just... I'm gonna ruin this, aren't I? Now it's important to know in order to get clay ceramic pieces together, you're going to have to do what's called scoring. So we're doing this scratching business over here. Voila. And you gotta do it on both sides, so you don't mess it up, okay? You need to get it both sides. That's going to create our suction for our pieces. And then we're going to use a liquid version of the clay, which basically is super easy to make. All you take is dried up clay that you put out overnight and then crush it and put it with water and you got slip. And we gonna lay it on thick. I mean thick. Like so, make sure you get all of it. All right, now we're just gonna shove this together. Reminder, I am a beginner ceramic artist. I'm not beginner at sculpting, but I don't know what I'm doing. All right, we're gonna smush this together like so. Get that good suction of clay going on. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and pinch and mold, just to kind of hope that they stick together. They technically could be a little bit more firm. I should have left them less covered. But you can see here, I'm doing a lot of smoothing, and that's what you're gonna see a lot of when you're doing your own sculptures. Is a lot of stuff is going to be involving smoothing. Now, part of the body felt a little bit unsecure because it was a little flimsy. So I did cut a hole and try to smooth it in while supporting with my finger basically on the inner part. And I have to say that took a lot of smoothing and I did shape it a little bit, and here's what the body looks like. So we are getting a bit of that top part that is a little bit more flat for the chest, and then a cute little belly area for where the overalls are basically going to go, since Jax is known for the overalls. We are not going with the maid costume version, even though this is a really cute version. But it is giving plushy, chubby, nicely stuffed plushy body. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing with the head, and poof. Here's what it looks like. Now to get the head on there, it's basically the same process. We're going to score and put them in a thick slip, put them together, and then I'm going to take a coil, wrap it around, also add some thick slip, and we're just basically smoothing it together. And here's what we have so far. It's looking really good. I know Jax has a long neck and long arms, but again, we're going plushie version. Even if you look at the official plushie from the actual company, you're going to see it's pretty condensed. There aren't elongated arms. It's just plushy looking. But we're making my version just a little darker. So now I feel we need to stabilize a little bit because it is a little wobbly thanks to the big head. So we're going to put the legs on first. And the first part is basically the continuation of the overalls. And I just took some thick pieces. Now I know the rest of the sculpture is pretty hollow, but I really don't want to make hollow legs. I just don't have the skills for that. And as always, some thick slip. And smoothing it all together. Now that we have both legs, we're going to make the little feet. And I have to say the feet are very easy. It's just basically kind of a cone shape, not quite. And then I'm just gonna cut some little slips in there and then shove that all together as per usual, as per tradition. Some thick slip. Now that the feet are done, I just want to make sure that I put that rim at the bottom. What is it called? It's the hem at the bottom of the pants, but we're just gonna do that. We're gonna keep it simple. We're gonna keep it straightforward. And now we're going to go ahead and do the arms. Basically the same process. Now for the other arm, now in theory, Jax should be left-handed. However, it has never been confirmed. So they're either thinking he's left-handed or left eye dominant, but I went with right because I turned that right hand upside down. Don't worry, I didn't do two thumbs in the same direction. The hand is upside down because you know what he's gonna hold? Spaghetti. Because we know that one of Jack's favorite things is spaghetti. So we're gonna go ahead and make a lump of spaghetti just drooping. We're not gonna make any plates. We are going chaotic here. This is Jack's we're talking about. It's drooping.
In case you're wondering, that's the sauce. And we added a meatball. And another meatball.
That spaghetti is looking pretty delicious and very saucy. I have to say, it doesn't look like much right now because we haven't added any facial features or the ears, which are drawing a little bit further out. But now we need to actually make the overalls. Now I'm not actually going to add another layer. So this is where the illusion of sculpting comes in. So I'm going to be taking thin pieces of clay and putting them where the seams technically would be on the body and smoothing it in. So it looks like there's actually a layer on top.
It's okay, I'm gonna fix it.
The only thing I'm actually adding onto this is going to be the straps. Otherwise, it really is just the delimitations of where the overalls look like they would be.
Hermit Jordan, you saw nothing.
And now we're going to add that little pocket in the front. And I have to admit, it does look pretty good. Let me know what your thoughts are. Okay, this is where things get extra interesting because I have no idea how the ears are going to react. Wait, did I mess up the thumb? I messed up this thumb. Oh no. Hang on. Did I mess up this thumb? Hang on. If I'm sitting this way. Oh, this is as though his palms are up. Oh, I messed up. I'm so confused. Hang on. If I'm sitting this way, I am so confused. If I'm sitting down, okay, you sit down. I am so confused right now. No, I feel like if I'm sitting down, my thumbs are not outside. My thumbs are inside, towards my body, unless they're pointing upwards. So it's like both arms are facing up. Oh no. Oh no. I'm tempted to cut it out and replace it. Oh. Should I? Hang on, let me get some courage. I think I'm gonna do it. I am really bothered right now, so I'm gonna regret this, aren't I? I feel like I'm going to regret it, but you know what? Watch this be the part that it cracks once it goes in the kiln. Watch it be the part that cracks. I'm just gonna slice it out, okay? And it has to go this way. Oh, that looks way better. Oh, that looks way better. It's night and day. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead, score it, smooth it, and add a little coil, and I'll see you in a couple of seconds. Okay, I think this is looking better now. I'm feeling good. I almost attached it the wrong way again. So we'll see if this is going to be a problematic part or fall off or explode or something once it's in the kiln. But for now, I've actually put these ears aside to dry for the last hour or so, because now they're not going to be floopsy. They're actually going to hold their shape. So this is what I want. I don't want them to fall like that. I gave them a little bit of curve, and the idea is to have the ears sit like this. Oh, those are huge. Hang on. You don't even see them on screen. Hang on. Like, this is so big, I actually have to take the camera completely out of where I normally would put it. So here, these are huge. These are absolutely gigantic. But that's how I want them. Obviously, if we look at the reference picture of Jax, the ears are as big and wide as his head. So I kind of, this is the measurement I basically went with. And these are the ears we're gonna do. I know they don't have much to hold on to, but I'm gonna try my best to really get them in there and hope they don't fall off, they don't break off. Cracks I can deal with, but I just don't want them to fall off, please. And so I'm doing everything I know in the book, which is basically scoring, adding extra coils, adding the slip, and hoping that it stays. Really hoping. I've hit a little bit of a roadblock because the ear to my right is actually pretty good. It's stable. The ear on the left, for some reason, just kind of wants to fall sideways, so I'm letting it take a normal shape. However, I'm using a bottle to prop it up and leave it there, and I know I bulked it. I bulked it? Because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to now wrap it up loosely in some kind of plastic and leave it overnight so that it can harden just a little bit, and then I'm going to carve it out to make it more even. But for now, I think the most important part really is to just get that piece staying there. I don't know what it's going to be like once it's verse 5. I don't know. But I'm pretty happy with today's progress, and just to be clear, this took me 4 hours in total, everything from the arms to the ears and the spaghetti. Everything else was a completely different day, which was another 4 hours. So... All right, good morning. We are finally going to see it. I am super nervous. We're basically the next day. I have you with my camera. I'm hoping this piece has not fallen. I'm hoping there aren't some major cracks or structural integrity. So let's go ahead and remove the plastic one at a time. Okay, it's still standing. Okay, let's check real quick. No cracks. That's good news. Let's remove this next one. Oh, okay, calm down. There's no cracks. I don't think so. I'm gonna get a little closer here. No cracks. It's uneven, but that was on purpose. I just wanted to bulk it up. Okay, let's see what happens when we remove the support. Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, I am very happy so far. Let's turn it around. Let's not bump anything. The back looks absolutely phenomenal. Again, I don't see any major cracks or structural integrity. Let me touch it. And it feels solid. It really, so far, feels solid. Obviously, the test is going to be the kiln, but for now, this is holding. This is great. I am super happy we can finally work on the face, which is basically our last step right now. Well, and making the stitches to make it look like a plushie. All right, now for the iconic smile and eyes. Jax always looks like he has something to hide or just some devious thoughts behind him, because let's be clear again, he is an absolute. But apparently it's a lovable trait because a lot of people love him. And one of the things I noticed about the eyes is that they are a little bit slanted at the bottom, and then it's a dome. For the smile, we really want to get a huge smile. So we're gonna use a sharp pointy thing. So we're gonna go from here. I'm just gonna do very, very lightly. Something like so. Oh my goodness, that is good. Oh my goodness, it's like I know what I'm doing. Actually, no, it's not deep enough. I feel like it needs more curves. So I'm just gonna smooth that back in. You saw nothing. This is what I love about working with any kind of clay, is that it is very forgivable, unless it's in the kiln and it explodes. All right, I add a little bit more water to make it glide better. All right, let's try this again. Here, and we're gonna have a little bit, yes. And curve it up. I like that. That I like. I think I'm gonna have to hold them. This way. It's holding. The ears are not falling. And we're gonna get that nice, big smile all the way down here. Oh my goodness. It's like I know what I'm doing. Why am I so impressed? I have goosebumps right now. I got it right on the first try, well, second try. I got it right. Very nice. And then for the eyes, I know I want a separation that is not too big. So we're gonna have this separation here. I think this is pretty good. I'm gonna do a tiny bit of a slant, like I saw, and like us. It's okay. It's okay. Just smooth it out. And like so. Very nice. And now we're just gonna make domes. So I feel like it should end up here for the dome. I'm just making markers, but for those of you who are better than me at drawing, definitely do your thing. So I'm gonna do this like here. I feel like this should have been a little bit more here. And smooth this out. Voila. That is really good. And now the same thing over here and come back here. Voila. This is really good. Now I'm just doing the details, which is the line for the teeth and the line where the eyes would go. Clearly I forgot to put the pocket, so I'm putting the pocket in right now in the front of the overalls. And now, before putting the stitching, I'm just taking my sharp pointy tool and I'm cutting off, shaving a little bit around the ear so it's a little bit smoother, and that's a very delicate process. Now, for the stitches, I'm basically looking at this image over here, the one of the plushie that is official. It looks like a flat piece, but you know what? I don't want to add too many stitch marks because I don't want to ruin the whole thing. So I'm kind of going to pick and choose where stitches go, despite the fact that they're probably going to be very unrealistic. It's a sculpture, it's not a plushie. So I'm just gonna go around the seams. Now, technically we could add a stitch area on the ears, but I'm going to pretend that they are just a hard felt because I don't want to ruin where the ears are. And we're just gonna go around, make sure that the arms have it, make sure that the legs, also the bottom of the little feet, have those little stitch marks. They're not going to be even, they're just going to look like stitches, like if I would have sewn it, despite the fact that I can't sew. We're just gonna pretend.
Actually, I really don't like this. We're just gonna cover it up.
What should I have for dinner? How long will it take me to cook dinner? Did I even go shopping? After a long day of work, none of us want to think about these questions, especially they are every day. Which is why I'd like to talk about today's sponsor, Factor. You grains have no idea how much Factor has saved me time and mental stress away from my brain. Look at it. Mental stress is just leaving my brain. Oh my goodness, you're amazing. Because on top of work, many of you grains have kids, relationships that have obligations that you need to take care of. And that's why removing one of those mental burdens when it comes to eating and keeping on top of your goals is absolutely phenomenally done with Factor. In meals that are done in less than 3 minutes, chef-crafted restaurant quality meals are ready for you to eat and enjoy. And now you're fueled up with clean food that helps support the lifestyle that you want, whether it be active or just to fuel you through the day. Let's go ahead and make something. Let's start with the rice. If you love stir-fried rice, this is it. The edamame. Tastes like edamame. Chicken, sauce. Moist and peanutty. And now is even more exciting than ever to join Factor because they are doubling on everything that is already great. They are doubling the size of their menu to 80 plus rotating meals. Twice the amount of seafood meals, including premium options like shrimp, salmon at no additional cost. 2 times more protein, like beef fillet, turkey, meatballs, and meal customizations that let you take the protein that you like and supplement it with the one that you are not crazy about. So if you prefer chicken, well, you can get rid of that pork for free. And what I love about Factor is not only do they have meals like vegetarian, vegan, keto, they now have more variety for wider health goals, like strengthening their existing GLP-1 support preferences with high protein, calorie smart meals. Additional factors like gluten-free, free from low-quality seed oils, refined sugars, and more. And listen, I am extremely picky when it comes to eating with flavor, and the fact that Factor is one of my favorites, they have now even expanded to more flavors, like their new Asian and Mediterranean platters. So what are you waiting for? I can sit here and talk about how much I love Factor because I've been using Factor way before they became my sponsor, and I'm just endorsing something that I absolutely enjoy. So make sure you go to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code NERDYCRAFTERFB50 to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code NerdyCrafterFB50 at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. Thank you, Factor, for making absolutely delicious meals and sponsoring a portion of today's video. Ooh, okay. I'm super happy with Jax and how he looks like. He is just absolutely adorable. And I feel like the stitching really brings things together. Obviously, the paintwork is going to make the entire difference, but we have to let this little guy sit and dry up for the next 2 weeks. So I'm gonna put him aside for 2 weeks and we're gonna come back and put him in the kiln. So yeah. In the meantime, we're just gonna hope that there's no cracks or falls. And here he is after sitting on the shelf for 2 weeks, looking absolutely wonderfully what is called bone dry and ready to be put into the kiln. I think this is absolutely adorable. It looks pretty good. There were a few cracks, but I went in after a few days and used some of my clay smushiness and just kind of put it in those cracks in hopes that we're okay. Now we gotta put our hands together and pray to the kiln gods. Dear kiln gods of Evermore, also known as Bernadette, please protect my piece from cracks, fallen limbs, and explosions. And please, just make my peace. Me. Good. It has survived the first baking, which is absolutely phenomenal. I really need to stop making sculptures so big because I'm like, I'm gonna get a small kiln, I'm gonna make small. No, it's huge. And here's a good look at it, 360. It looks absolutely amazing. I went ahead and washed it a little bit because you're supposed to wash your pieces after the first bake in case there's some kind of particles so that the actual paint sticks to it. And as you can see here, the first thing I'm doing is taking the brown underglaze. This one is called chocolate. And I'm diluting it with just a little bit of water in order to get all the stitchings that color of brown. Since it is going to be a little bit more of that dark plushy feel, I really want to get those inner colors really popping up. All right, I've given this whole thing a whole day to dry up just so that it's not too wet. And don't forget, we're going to be adding Opal, a super highly toxic material. Again, I don't know why I like to work with toxic materials, but we're gonna get there, so stay tuned, it's coming. But this can't get on until our third firing, so first thing we gotta do is actually paint our piece. So we have purple, we have black, yellow, because those are Jax's colors, as you can see here on the screen, and peach. Now, in theory, I could color mix to try and get as close as possible to the actual colors, but remember, this is a plushy version, but also the colors that you mix are not the colors that you're going to get because they only pop once you fire them, once they go into 2,000 degrees. Now, normally I like to work from top to bottom, but I think what I'm going to do is start, no, you know what? I should stick to one color. We're gonna start with the purple. Now, the purple that I have is called Regal Purple, and it looks like this once it's done to cone 6. You can see that right here. So it means I'm going to have to try and lighten it just a little bit. It is a really pretty purple, but the one that Jax has is a little bit more muted, so I'm not going to mute too much of it, so we're just going to add a little bit of that white. Again, this is a plushy version, it's not going to be exact. Clearly I was delusional, so we're gonna pour that right in here because I need more spice. And again, I have a preference, so I will start from top to bottom and trying to avoid as much as possible as getting the purple inside the stitching areas. And what I like about Jax is that it makes it so much easier because Jax has no t-shirt, it's all skin on the top part. And of course, I'm going to work around the spaghetti and we're going to also make the little feet.
Shake a shake a shake a shake a shake a shake shake a shake a shake shake a shake a shake shake.
Now for the overalls, I do have peach, which is UG216, and here's what it looks like when it's technically baked. I really should make textiles, but for now we're gonna work off the images. And even though it's not as saturated as the image that Jax overall is basically at, you can see them side by side, I think it's going to hopefully work with what we're trying to do. So I'm not going to try and saturate it. I want to keep it as it is. And the same process, I'm just basically trying to avoid the stitches and go all the way around and give all of these, as always, 3 coats. And now we're mixing some of that pink with some white in order to do the pockets and the hems of the pants. I am quite worried because, again, we don't know what the color's gonna look like until it's fired, but we gotta move on. So I'm taking my bright yellow, which is the UG046. No, wrong spot. No, oh no, wait. And we're doing the eyes, teeth, and the gloves. Now definitely stay tuned because those are the bits that we're going to be turning opal, so keep an eye on that. And as usual, I'm going with 3 coats. Now even though you can see the colors, as it dries, the colors become extremely pale. So yeah, it looks like we're doing nothing at this point. Now once the bigger important stuff is done, I figured it's time to go in with the details such as the black for the eyes and basically go in for the spaghetti. Now spaghetti is basically yellow, so I decided to put a little tiny bit of red with the yellow to kind of get it just a little more different than the actual gloves. And then did the meatballs and splattered some of that red for the sauce a little bit of everywhere. I don't know if it's gonna just look like bloody hands, but then again, I wouldn't put it past this character. And here it is, looking absolutely adorable, but you know what time it is. It's time to just mute everything and go ahead and put the overglaze, which is basically the shiny part of the entire project. And once that's done, it looks absolutely white, basically like we did nothing. I like to call it taking a dip in milk. And now we're going to wait for about 24 hours, and into the kiln it goes for another 24. Okay, listen to me. It's been 48 hours since the kiln, and look what Bernadette turned up. I am so happy with this piece. Look at that. He looks absolutely phenomenal. I am in love. I wish I had done another coat on the purple because it's kind of translucenty. It's something that I've noticed with this specific purple of this specific glaze. It just kind of pulls away for some reason. Here you can see it a little closer. So you can see some of the bits are a little bit more yellow grayish, which is basically the color of the clay itself. And then other parts are a little bit more of that purple. You can see it better in the back. So I feel like 3 or 4 coats, maybe 4, might be better for this kind of purple. Otherwise, I think this is an absolutely phenomenal piece. I love the way the stitching looks like. I'm glad I did them a little thicker than I thought I wanted them. But oh no, this is not done yet. We still have, yes, turning this piece into opal. Now this is quite an expensive luster. These are not cheap, but they give a really cool effect. I haven't used them myself, but technically it's supposed to give the opal effect. You know, this opal that you see, hang on, right here on the screen, this cool rock that gives a color shift, kind of iridescent feel to it. That's what we're doing. So what I want to do, I'll be obviously wearing my mask and my gloves because you have to do this in a well-ventilated area, so we're gonna be doing that outside. And as you can see, I'm taking a dedicated brush and putting them only on the yellows of the eyes and the yellows of the teeth. Part of me thought of putting them on the gloves and buttons, but I think I just want to add them to the face to add that visual interest. All right, this looks like a thing of nightmares, but we're gonna shove it into the kiln one more time for about 6 hours. So see you in 2 days to let it fully harden. Ah! All right, the kiln is cooled enough for us to check in on our luster. And okay, it's not green anymore, but hello? Oh no. It fired way too hot. Oh no. Are you lustery? Oh, look at the corner of the eye. Oh, the angle has to be just right. You know what? Let's take it outside and see what happens. All right, so here we are outside. It is definitely a very finicky luster. You can see the difference between the gloves and the eyes and the mouth. Definitely way shinier. But to get that iridescent look, oh my goodness, that is really hard to get. You can see it in the eyes. It's not reflection, that's actually the color. Trying to get closer here, but it's super finicky. There you go. You can see some of the teeth there. Oh my goodness, there you go. But otherwise it's really hard to see. But I have to say, I really do love this, and here's some more footage of it, but indoors. I feel like maybe indoor lighting works better because the different angles actually shows the iridescentness of the opal. Overall, I still feel like it's not the greatest luster, so we're gonna keep experimenting in future videos to see if we can really get that pop like the picture of that rock from the beginning. And of course, if you have tips, let me know. So being excited about sculpting, I totally forgot to introduce this next part. Basically, we are going to recreate the same base for Jax, but we're going to be adding modifiers to it. Now you're going to see the base already done because you don't have to rewatch the entire process again. I basically did it off camera, and now you're going to start from the fun part, which is the modifiers. Let's leave that to past Jackie. Future Jackie, the Jackie that's sculpting. So now that we have our base, it is time for the Wheel of Chaos. of Chaos will change depending on the comment section. So if you have anything that you'd like to add to the Wheel of Chaos, definitely feel free to suggest it in the comment section. And we can get anything from roll for 2, extra limbs, super peach, extra eyes, horns, roll for how many teeth we also have to do, scales, decals, wings, a friend, and basically we're coming back to roll for 2. However, today, we're gonna add an extra element to the Wheel of Chaos, which is the wheel percentage. So instead of thinking roll for 2, we're actually going to see if we roll 1, 2, 3, or 4. I really hope we don't get 4, so let's see what we get. And here's hoping for 1, but let's see. And how many do we do? Okay, we're doing 1. We're doing 1. Listen, I don't wanna hurt myself, okay? Y'all can wish for as many as you want, but we're gonna go ahead and spin. And what are we getting? Please be something fun. Wings. Okay, you know what? I'm digging that. Now, wings are pretty straightforward and they don't seem to disrupt the entire flow of things. So I just went ahead and made the entire sculpture exactly as I would make the other one. Oh, whoops. But in addition to letting the ears dry, I also made a cute little set of wings. Obviously, this is supposed to be a plushy version, so we're just adding small wings. We don't want it to be absolutely gigantic. And now we have to figure out where to place it. All right, I am absolutely in love. We are obviously a completely different day because of the clothing and the hat, and the wings have slightly hardened. But now I'm trying to decide, where do I want to put those wings? Because it's going to make a difference aesthetically, but also I'm hoping it's going to have a structural integrity, kind of like the ears. And so visually for me, the wings look absolutely phenomenal in this position. And I'm sure y'all can agree, because the other options are basically to tuck them in a little bit more, but it doesn't look as wing-like. And then the other option is to turn this thing around and to kind of really tuck them in and just have them in the back kind of sitting there, which again, they look pretty cool. And obviously if I make a giveaway, it would be easier to ship, but I don't know. I'm turning it around here. And when you turn it around, it kind of looks like a cape. It doesn't look like we can see the wings. So I'm going to go with the most difficult option, and I'm actually going to make it standing up. I don't even know if I'm going to give it away at this point, but I just want it to look really good. Shipping details don't matter right now. And so in order to put it on, all I'm doing is basically the same thing with the ears. I'm just really bulking it up and putting it on to make sure that it really holds. And then once it dries, I'll start carving it to see where I want to go. And just to kind of mask this part, because we do have cloth here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add more clay, and I'm gonna make it look like the actual part of that overall got torn a bit. So I'm just taking a piece of clay and basically shoving it in there to make it look torn. So it doesn't matter what it looks like as long as it looks torn. There we go. Actually, you know what? I changed my mind. I don't think it goes through enough to justify a rip in the plushie. I changed my mind. Now, as per tradition, we're going to go ahead and put it to dry for about 2 weeks. And here we are 2 weeks later with our Jax that has been modified with wings. I'm super excited to see how this one's going to turn out. So time for you to go into the kiln, little buddy. I wish you luck for all of us. And you get the same homage. Dear kiln gods of Evermore, also known as Bernadette, please protect my piece from cracks, fallen ears, and explosions. But also,
don't break my stuff!
And look who survived the kiln. No explosions, no fallen ears. Absolutely adorable. Definitely way smaller than the other one. Okay, well apparently I lied, because I just noticed a quite significant crack right here on the overalls. Now I'm really hoping that the underglaze, once we get there, is actually going to cover it. I'm hoping. Again, I don't know. It's a surface crack, so it shouldn't be too bad, but we're gonna see once we get to the end result. If you have advice, let me know in the comments. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the exact same process for the stitching. So here's a before and after of with stitching done and without stitching done. Now for our winged version, I basically painted the exact same way I did with the first one. However, instead of going in with Opal like we did with the first one, we're going to do something a little different, because this Jax version has wings, and I kind of think of wings, I think fiery and magma and hot. So we're going to be using the magma glaze on here. But first what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the outer part of the wings the black just underglaze. And then inside where the stitches are is where I'm going to be doing 3 to 4 coats of the magma. Now, the more we layer it, the thicker we layer it, the more magma-esque it's going to be. And I figured I really do like this texture, so I'm gonna do it in the front and the back. And here's what he looks like. Here's a beautiful 360 for you. And now the only thing left to do is, you know what it is? Time to take the dip in the milk. Which basically means we are putting overglaze on all the little bits except for the magma. All right, off to the kiln you go for about 2,000 degrees. And so in goes our little winged version. This is going to be the final bake for this one. We don't need a third bake because we're not doing a luster. We just hope that the magma is going to turn out exactly how I hope. Let's put our hands together and pray to Bernadette. Dear Bernadette, have mercy on my piece and protect it from cracks, fallen limbs, and explosions. But also, just give me some magma. And Bernadette has indeed blessed us with this absolutely adorable Jax with wings. I have to say I am really pleased with the little magma inside the actual wings. It gives it that extra bit of visual interest. And again, the stitching does look good, but it wasn't as deep or as interesting to visually look at like the first one. And the colors are spot on, so I am proud of myself. I wish I had given this one more coat, but it does give this a nice texture to it. Of course, you get a 360 just to have your own idea of what it looks like all the way around. But I'm also curious, which design do you like most? Here they are side by side, so you can see, do you like the opal version more? Do you like the non-opal? Do you like it more as the face kind of carved in, or do you like the face sticking out more? I'm super curious to know your thoughts in the comments. If you want to watch me turn more different creatures into my own versions, like the gold Labubu, yes, actual gold, make sure you check up here. If you want to catch something different like reviews and unboxings, make sure you check down here. Until then, I will see you grains in the next video.